Yo, what's going on, guys? Kyle here from Speedbets, bringing you guys another UFC full card breakdown. Today we're taking on the Gregory Rodrigues versus Jared Cannonier card. I'm pretty excited for this one. There's some good fights on here, some very competitive fights. We're picking some underdogs. Let's get right into the card, man. If you want to join the Discord, it's absolutely free. Giving out some free picks in there. The free picks have been on fire. We're cashing these DFS slips, DFS props, all that good stuff. But let's get right into the card. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. First fight of the night, we have Julia Avila taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti. And this fight's pretty easy. I don't need to spend too much time on this one. If you want to even look at the sig strike numbers right here, I mean, Jacqueline's landing six sig strikes a minute, and Julia's landing two. Jacqueline is getting hit a lot more, but that's because a lot of her fights are kind of stand and bang brawls. Julia's more the grappling type, but I don't think the grappling's going to play too much of a factor here. If Julia wants to win this fight, she has to push Jacqueline against the cage and almost pull guard. I don't think Julia has it in her to take down Jacqueline, maybe once, but probably not twice. I just don't see this fight really hitting the mat too much. I think Jacqueline's going to beat her up on the feet, either force a third round knockout or a dominant decision victory. Let's get on to the next one. Dante Almeida versus Walter Walker. Walter Walker showed us a little bit more in his last fight with that heel lock or ankle lock, whatever it was, knee bar, I don't even remember anymore, over the Junior Tafa, one of the Tafa brothers. You can't really have too much faith in that. You can't depend on that to make a pick. Walter Walker's takedowns looked okay in his first fight. I mean, okay, you can't really say they were too good. But with Dante Almeida, last time we saw Shamil Gaziv, he just kind of ran into him like a football player trying to tackle, and then he fell over. Shamil broke his hand in the first round in that fight, and he still dominantly decisioned Dante Almeida. I don't think you have to do a whole lot to beat Dante Almeida. Somehow this guy's ranked without a current win over a single UFC fighter. There's not one fighter on the roster that has a loss to Dante Almeida, and this guy is ranked number 15 in the world. But yeah, give me Walter Walker by decision. I think the wrestling's going to play a factor. Dante doesn't do anything when he gets his back to the mat. He's not going to work back up. This guy's a partner of John Jones in the training room, but you would never know it. Give me Walter Walker, 30-27. All right, next fight up, we have Vince Morales taking on Elijah Smith. Elijah Smith, 22, coming off the Contender Series. Obviously, he had that fight with the Aussie dude with all the face tats, whatever, Aaron Tao. That Aaron Tao guy, man, that guy was all hyped up for nothing. He got the hype from going on Dan Hooker's, I don't know if it's a show or like a scholarship type thing. He was sponsored by Dan Hooker. A lot of people were talking him up. He ended up not being good at all. We kind of said that going into it. We bet big on Elijah Smith for the Contender Series fight. We won that, but it was a little scary there in the third round, in the late second. So that fight, I believe it was short notice for Elijah Smith, so we don't really know if cardio is an issue. But he likes to employ that grappling game plan, but he does get sucked into a brawl every once in a while. We see 2 years ago he has a loss to Reyes Cortez, not exactly the best look. Tracy Cortez's brother there never really had a lot of success. Kind of got worked on the Contender Series by Peyton Talbot. However, Reyes Cortez does have a couple good wins. He has a win over Clayton Carpenter on the regional scene. Just whatever. Reyes Cortez not that good. Moral of the story. And he knocked out Elijah Smith in the third round. So potentially there's something there. You watch that fight, you kind of see it, okay? He doesn't have the best ability to pace himself. If he wants to beat a guy like Vince Morales, he needs to pace himself. He opened as a pretty big favorite. He's been bet down. And I'm going to go with Vince Morales, man. This guy, he has 2 stints in the UFC, and recently I've been all over these double UFC stint kind of guys. That sounds kind of counterproductive. Why would you bet on a guy that got cut by the UFC then brought back? It's because they have way more experience. Same reason I told you guys to bet on Rong Zhu last week against Cody Steele. Same exact reason. Rong Zhu has so many more fights. He had triple, quadruple the amount of fights as Cody Steele. And look at that, experience prevails, knowledge of the fight game, high level experience. It doesn't matter if you lose to a guy like Ignacio Bahamondes. Spending time in the cage with those type of guys, getting that experience, being on a pay-per-view before, you learn things. You pick up things, you're not as scared, you're not all hesitant and stuff. Cody Steele literally just forgot to wrestle. The adrenaline was pumping so hard, he wanted to knock him out. He just didn't wrestle at all. And that's what high-level experience can do to a guy. Vince Morales has that kind of experience. When he lost to Jonathan Martinez and Miles Johns, 2 very good fighters, by the way, both borderline top 15 type of guys. When he lost to them, he got cut, and guess what he did on the regional scene before getting brought back? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Smoked 5 dudes. Vince Morales, you look at this guy before the UFC, he was 3-5. Not even people were saying didn't even belong in the UFC. And he goes out there and he got 2 Darce chokes and a Peruvian necktie along with a knockout. Peruvian necktie is like a modified Darce. We're just going to call it 3 Darce chokes. He's dangerous on the ground. He's smoking these regional guys. Is Elijah Smith going to smoke these regional guys? I don't really know. We can't say that. Some of these guys that he's beating just didn't even belong in the cage with him. Not to say that Vince Morales' opponents are a whole lot better in this 5-fight stretch. But the fact that he's just dismantling these guys without error gives me a lot of hope for this fight. I'm taking Vince Morales. I think if Elijah Smith takes him down, he's going to be in a world of danger. Vince Morales is clearly a guy who knows what he's doing on the mat. If Elijah Smith gets his double leg or his single leg stuff, they end up in a sprawl. I'm taking Vince Morales to Darce choke this dude. You can't doubt the experience. This guy, he just fought a pretty relatively close fight against Taylor Lapilus. Taylor Lapilus would smoke Elijah Smith. I think everyone would pick that in a heartbeat. Taylor Lapilus would probably be a 3-1 favorite over this guy. So the fact that Vince Morales, who just went tit for tat, was like a plus 200 underdog. I sent out a bet for him at plus 200 in the Discord. He's currently like around 130. So we got some good line movement on our side there. But yeah, give me Vince Morales inside the distance. I think submission's around a 5-1 prop. I like that play a lot. Yeah, I'm taking Vince Morales by submission. We got Gabriel Bonfim taking on Chaos Williams. Now this fight right here is a lot closer than the odds may suggest. I don't think either guy is going to find a finish in this fight. A lot of people are saying it's either Chaos Williams by knockout or Bonfim by sub, and I don't know if I really see it that way. I don't think Bonfim is going to be able to offensively wrestle the way that he needs to hold down a guy like Chaos for 3 full rounds. Nor do we really know if his cardio can even hold up for a full 15 minutes of wrestling. Against Angelusa, he got taken down a whole hell of a lot, and he didn't really do too much to get back. He would get up, and he did more damage on the feet, threatening the submissions, all the stuff you need to do to win a fight, and he won that fight. Chaos Williams, he's not going to settle for that. Chaos Williams isn't going to shoot on him. He's not going to stick himself in a guillotine. Chaos Williams is going to stay on the feet. He's going to bomb overhands. He's going to bomb that big right hook. And I think Chaos Williams has the potential to pull an upset, but not in a knockout fashion. I think this fight's going to be very slow, very tit for tat. I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, whoever does just a little bit more is going to win on the scorecards. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this fight go into a split decision. But I do think a better bet for this fight is the over 1.5. A lot of people, it's obviously getting bet down. We have a knockout artist versus a submission artist. I just don't think either of them are really going to be able to play their game here. Bonfim's got that Brazilian boxing background. He's experienced enough. I don't think he's going to get caught by a big hand. But for the pick, give me Chaos Williams, and I'm leaning for a decision. We got Rafael Estevam taking on Jesus Aguilar. This one right here is two boys that don't like to make weight. Now, I can't really say that too much about Jesus Aguilar. He's only missed weight once. Estevam, again, also only missed weight once, but you got to remember, against Zalgas Zazmagulov in the fight before that, it was supposed to happen earlier that year. He was about to miss weight, said I'm not going to make weight. They cut the fight. Now, Estevam, he has a long history of wrestling these guys, all right? What I did see when I was watching his fights, breaking down that sort of tape, he has no problem wrestling these Brazilian guys on the regional scene. Now, not just saying this because it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but a lot of the Brazilian regional guys, they're wild guys, they're coming out, they're banging, and then they're going to be comfortable on their back. Jiu-Jitsu, huge part of that Brazilian fighting culture, and Estevam has no problem taking them down, ground and pounding them out. And I think he's going to try and do the same here, but he has to be very careful for Jesus Aguilar. We all know by now he's got that nasty guillotine. If he gets those little T-Rex arms around your neck, he's going to squeeze the shit out of it. Against Stuart Nicole, even in that breakdown video I was saying, Stuart Nicole should win the fight by grappling, but if he takes down Jesus Aguilar, he gets his neck caught, he's done. And look what happened. He tried taking him down that first round. His neck caught, he went unconscious. Same thing can happen here, but Estevam seems to have a good enough understanding of jiu-jitsu to not put himself in that situation. I think it'd be a flawed bet if you were betting on Estevam without hedging yourself with Jesus by sub. If you have one of those books where it lets you bet the exact method, I don't think a Jesus Aguilar by guillotine is a bad bet at all. You kind of have to every time Jesus is fighting, because he's going to be getting taken down. He throws big power on the feet, but Estevam does have a striking advantage here. I think he's a better striker. I think he's better everywhere. I'm going to go Estevam by decision. But if you see a ground and pound knockout, don't be too surprised. I think Estevam's going to get this one done. He's one of my more confident picks. Now we have Jerry Gordon taking on Mashrabajan Ruziboyev, the brother of Nursultan Ruziboyev. And this one right here is pretty straightforward. I think it's Ruziboyev round 1 knockout or Gordon by a decision. We've seen Gordon in the past. He's been able to stuff the takedowns. Obviously, he couldn't stuff them against Grant Dawson. So I don't think Ruziboyev's grappling game is going to come in here. But this guy's not technical at all. On the feet, this guy's just throwing with ill intentions, trying to put your lights out. He's not technical. He's not good. I don't think he'd even be getting this shot if he wasn't super short notice. This seems like a guy that would go on the Contender Series and then get Russell fucked. So I'm going to go Jared Gordon by decision. Probably be responsible. Put a little bit on Ruziboyev by like knockout or Ruziboyev in round 1. I just don't think he's going to be able to outwork Jared Gordon for a full 15. I think his cardio is going to get bad. We're leaning Jared Gordon round 3 knockout or decision. Except we have Angela Hill taking on Ketlin Souza. Now, honestly, for the life of me, I can't understand how people are betting on Ketlin Souza. I hate using the word luck in reference to fights. Nothing's lucky. Everything, obviously, if you're punching someone, you plan to punch them, you want to knock them out. She got lucky in her last fight, okay? 4-1 dog against Yasmin Yoregui. Yasmin Yoregui's not even good. The fact that you're a 4-1 dog against Yasmin Yoregui, whose best win going into that fight, what, Sam Hughes? Like Yasmin Lucindo? Maybe Lucindo is the better one. I don't really know. I don't get, how are you a 4-1 dog against Yasmin Yoregui? Cool, you catch her in the first round, club and sub. You're not gonna knock out Angela Hill. You know how long Angela Hill's been doing this? 17-14 professional record. Yeah, she knows how to lose. You're not getting knocked out. And that's the way I think Ketlin Souza has to win this fight. I don't think Ketlin Souza is going to be able to outwork Angela Hill. I think Angela Hill is going to do whatever she wants. Against Tabitha Ricci, she didn't really do enough in my opinion. But you could argue that one could have gone to Angela Hill. How that wasn't a split decision is beyond me. And then, the Michelle Waterson fight, split, close. Claudia, whatever the hell, split, close. Ya Zhaonan, that was a little bit more decisive. But regardless, Angela Hill doesn't have the best fortune when it comes to the judges, so it's hard to bank on her to win a decision. But I think she's going to win this fight. I think Angela Hill's just the better fighter, the way more experienced fighter. Ketlin Souza isn't good in my opinion. I don't think she's going to be able to finish Angela Hill, which is what she has to do to win this fight. So give me Angela Hill on the cards. 29-28, split decision. This fight right here is one that I think the odds are a little bit wide on. We got Jose Delgado coming in at nearly a 4-1 favorite over Connor Matthews. I just don't think that line's right. I do think Jose Delgado is going to win and spoil the pick. These two guys, there's not really a whole lot to study on these guys. Both less than 10 professional fights. Both of them, we have 1-0 fights in the UFC. Connor Matthews, I guess, has a couple more. If you want to count the contender series, he lost to Francis Marshall, beat some other dude I've never heard of. Yeah, I didn't do too much looking into that fight, but he doesn't have anybody on his record that I would pick out or notice from the regional scene. And I think Jose Delgado, his style here, I think he's going to be able to get it done. I think he's going to be throwing more volume on the feet. He's going to hit a little bit harder. I don't think Connor Matthews is going to be able to stuff the takedowns that Jose Delgado is going to be throwing. If you know anything about the New England cartel guys, Rob Font, Calvin Kattar, they generally aren't carrying the best takedown defense, and they're going to be focusing on the boxing, the crisp movement. They're going to have head movement, but they're not going to be able to stop what's coming at them in the grappling realm. I think Jose Delgado is probably going to take him down, ground and pound him a little bit. I'm actually going to pick a decision. I think Connor Matthews is tough. I don't think he's a guy you're going to get him out of there. He's never going to quit on himself, but Jose Delgado, he's just a lot better of a fighter in my personal opinion from what little we know. I wouldn't really advise you to go betting too much on this fight. If you want to parlay up Jose Delgado, maybe like a 2-legger, I think that's all right. But anything more than that, I think you're just reaching. So give me Delgado by decision. Rodolfo Vieira taking on Andre Petroski. And this one here, another one where the odds are a little bit weird. Andre Petroski's like a 2-1 underdog. I think he's definitely live to win this fight. I know a lot of people have questions about his chin. That's all right. A lot of people have questions about his striking. That's all right too. We should have those same questions about Rodolfo Vieira striking. This guy, obviously phenomenal grappler, world champion grappler. No doubt in my mind. If this gets to the mat, if Rodolfo Vieira gets on top of Andre Petroski, Petroski's going to sleep. But that would require Rodolfo Vieira to take down Andre Petroski. If Rodolfo Vieira wants to play guard, Petroski's actively competing in grappling matches. This guy isn't a fish out of water on the ground. If he gets on top, I think he's going to be all right. I don't think Petroski's going to get swept by like a scissor sweep or whatever the hell Vieira is going to do to get that arm extended, to get him over onto his side. I just don't see that happening. I think Vieira is probably going to be trying to rely on the ground game. I think Petroski keeps this fight standing. He can definitely outbox Vieira for 3 rounds. Vieira doesn't have the best gas tank. Against Fluffy Hernandez, everyone's going to gas out. That guy's got an inhuman gas tank, but I think Petroski can do a little bit more on the feet. And if he wants to take down Vieira, although I'd advise against it maybe a little bit, but I don't think that's a bad idea. I think he could absolutely take down Vieira and sit on top and be safe. So give me Andre Petroski by decision. Picking a lot of decisions on this card. Now this one right here, Ismail Bonfim taking on Nazim Sadikov. This one should be a banger. I think this one's another one where I'm picking it to go the distance. But both these guys are going to be constantly throwing, constantly putting each other in danger. And I think Bonfim could maybe get it done. I think Sadikov's fight against Vyacheslav Borishev just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. How do you get a 10-8 in the second round, almost have this guy out of there, and then come back to lose the third round for a draw? I don't understand that. I think he just didn't have the grit to push through. Bonfim's hungry, man. This kid, he has been put away before. We've seen that. I mean, he lost to Benoit Saint-Denis. He lost to Moicano back in the day. This guy doesn't have the best resume in the world. But he's aggressive. He's coming forward. I don't think Nazim Sadikov really presents enough danger to get Ismail Bonfim to kind of quit, to shell up on himself. I think Benoit Saint-Denis broke Bonfim, but I don't think Sadikov has the tools to break him. I'm going to be leaning Bonfim by decision here. I think there's going to be a lot of strikes in this fight, probably 106 strikes each side if you're into the DFS. I think you can bet the overs and be all right. I don't think there should be a ton of grappling involved here. It should be 15 minutes of striking. Put a gun to my head, I'm going to pick Bonfim, but I don't think I'm going to bet on this fight. And I don't necessarily know if you guys should either. But I think the value could be on Sadikov because it's a very close fight, but I do lean Bonfim for an actual pick. All right, right here, I'm going to make a lot of people mad. I'm picking Dylan Budka over Edmen Shahbazyan. Edmen Shahbazyan, he's super young, always improving. But is he? I don't think Shahbazyan's improving. He does the same thing every fight. He'll hurt you in the first round. If he can't finish you, he's just going to lose to you in the late rounds or by a decision. Dylan Budka hasn't done anything impressive. But you know what this guy has? He has heart. I don't think Dylan Budka's a quitter. Whereas Edmen Shahbazyan, we've seen him not necessarily like tap to nothing, but we've seen this guy get worked in the late rounds. He doesn't push through. If Dylan Budka can weather that first round storm, he can absolutely win this fight. I think the best way you could possibly play this fight is Edmen Shahbazyan in round one. Maybe Edmen Shahbazyan under 1.5, and then you can even play the other side with Dylan Budka over 1.5. I don't think Budka's going to be putting Shahbazyan out in the first round and a half, and I don't think Shahbazyan has enough in the tank to put Budka out later in the fight. Got to remember, this guy's a D1 wrestler. If he takes Edmen down, he can gas him out in that first round. Dylan Budka could even win the first round if he gets a takedown going. We saw that against Cesar Almeida, but Budka kind of gassed out a little bit. If Budka's working on that gas tank, if he can keep this fight on the mat, he is absolutely live to win this fight, and I think it's criminal. He's a 3-1 underdog. Give me Dylan Budka by decision, but I'm still going to put a little hesitation on that because Edmen Shahbazyan is dangerous for that one round. Now we got Calvin Kattar taking on Yusuf Zalal, another guy from that New England cartel. And I think Kattar's on his way out, guys. I mean, I absolutely hate to say it. He's taken some damage against that Max Holloway fight. That's never something you can walk away from. Just insane amounts of damage. Last time out against Aljamain Sterling, he was coming back from an injury. It didn't even look like he wanted to be in there. I mean, Aljamain had his way with him in the grappling. Now, from that Movsar versus Aljo fight, we've come to understand that Aljo's grappling may be a little bit kind of underrated to a lot of us going into that fight. Aljo basically out-wrestled Movsar. Now, do I think Yusuf Zalal is going to do exactly what Aljo did? No, not even a little bit. I don't think that's even close to what's going to happen here. Zalal is a guy that he can get behind on the scorecards. If he doesn't get a takedown, if he's not holding Kattar against the cage early in this fight, he's going to get hit. He's going to go down rounds. But if he can get this fight to the ground, he's live to finish this fight. I will say that. I don't necessarily think I'm going to pick Zalal to finish this fight. I think I'm going to pick him to win a 29-28 decision. Because I think Kattar's going to win the first round. Zalal's going to realize he's down. He's going to have to weather the storm, get rounds 2 and 3. But I think he can get it done. I'm going to go Zalal, the younger guy, the second stint UFC guy, by decision. For the main event, Jared Cannonier taking on Gregory Rodrigues. It really sucks to say, man. It really sucks to say we're going to pick an unranked guy to beat Jared Cannonier. I mean, I've been backing Cannonier for a while. I picked him against Imavov. Didn't look so good at the time. We were all thinking that was an early stoppage, but now we kind of understand the danger that Imavov presents. Cannonier was probably going to go out regardless if that fight extended. A little bit upset about the stoppage. I had the over. I think it was like round 5 to start or something. I had some kind of over, and then it got chalked because of that stoppage. So I was a little bit mad at the time, but I think for Jared Cannonier's sake, it was a good stoppage. And then the Kyle Baralho fight, we were all over Kyle, but we thought Kyle was going to grapple. And then he just goes out there and lays bombs on Jared Cannonier, sits him down in that 5th round. I don't know how that fight wasn't stopped. That was crazy. then Gregory Rodrigues on their side, this guy throws power. This guy throws with some crazy intentions, overextending himself all the time. But when's the last time Jared Cannonier dropped someone? The last guy that was dropped at the hands of Jared Cannonier was Kelvin Gastelum, like 5 years ago, 4 years ago. I don't think he's got that power. It sucks. I mean, Jared Cannonier, the last guys that he's been fighting with, they've all been very defensively sound. Kaio, man, it's a tough guy to hit. Imavov, tough guy to hit. They both present a grappling prowess as well, similarly to Gregory Rodrigues. I think if Gregory gets hit, I don't think Jared Cannonier has the power to put him out in one like Bruno Ferreira did. I think if he gets hurt, if he gets hit, he's going to shoot a takedown. He's going to take Cannonier down, similarly to how he took down Tavares pretty easily. And I think he's just going to beat on him on the ground. I think I'm going to pick Gregory Rodrigues by maybe a round 2, round 3 knockout. And it sucks, but I think this may be the last run for Jared Cannonier. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you let me know in the comments if you think my picks are good, if you think my picks are shit. Let me know who you're rocking with for this card. Who's your lock? Drop that one in the comments. If you want to talk more fights, you want to talk other sports, join the Discord. We've been killing it on hockey recently, but we're on the 1 week layoff for the NHL. So right now we're just rocking some NBA. Been absolutely crushing that too. The free plays are going crazy. Hop in there if you want to get in on that action. And other than that, we'll see you in the next one, man. Peace out.